Okay, well, moving on with the remembrances to one of our favorite topics, uh, death. You know, I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. I have not transcended that. I'm not apart from that. I'm not other than that. I'm not the exception to that. You know, wow. And the Buddha suggested that we should reflect on all these things every day. Yeah. Yeah. We don't do that in this culture. I don't know if we ever do that in any culture, really, although and it is more central, I think, in some cultures. It's more accepted in some cultures. It's more um, honored in some cultures. It's certainly not seen as failure in some cultures as it is in this culture, and in some respects, you know. Um, I remember I majored in Eastern religion in college. You know, very impractical, right? Very impractical. And I had a professor who used to say, he used to talk about death a fair amount. And he'd say, you know, we have to decide what we're going to do between now and our death. I thought that is so morbid. You know, what does he mean by, you know, why is he focusing on that? And even though I'd had two significant losses already, two very significant losses, my two most important caregivers had died by the time I was 19. And the year before, I took this course with this professor. I still thought, yeah, well, yeah, but not me. And those deaths shaped my life in some ways, yeah. Yeah. Uh, I probably wouldn't have gotten into the Dharma, not in a big way, if I hadn't had those losses. And they certainly shaped the direction. I wouldn't probably be here if they hadn't died when I was a teenager, actually. But I still didn't think I was going to die. I didn't want to think about it. I don't think we're wired to think about it at younger ages. It's not just our cultural conditioning. It's not time to be thinking about that every day, early on. And I was aware that was there in Buddhism. I was practicing Buddhism by the time I was 19. Yeah, yeah. And I was doing some heavy retreating by the time I was 20 and 21 already, partly because of those losses I'd experienced. Yeah. But I still didn't focus on death much. Not really. Other people die. Other people die. And I made a decision early on to eat well, exercise well, and take supplements. You know, maybe I'll never die if I do those three things. I'll just put that off for a very long time, maybe. Yeah. So, mm. And I remember on our when Susan and I got married, which was almost 30 years ago, 29 years ago now, and we were the people who uh, married us were Zen teachers. At that time, we were a little bit more into the Zen tradition. Mostly it hasn't been Zen, but those were the years that we were into it. And one of the things that we did literally in our marriage ceremony was we had everybody recite the uh, from the Diamond Sutra. I don't know if you've heard this from the Diamond Sutra. It goes like this. It's a chant. They do this in Zen retreats to this day. So you should view this fleeting world, a star at dawn, a bubble in a stream, a flash of lightning in a summer cloud, a flickering lamp, a phantom, and a dream. So you should view this fleeting world, a star at dawn, a bubble in a stream, a flash of lightning in a summer cloud, a flickering lamp, a phantom, and a dream. So you should view. Literally, that would be the chant again and again and again and again. You know, let's think about it. Let's recollect it. Let's remind ourselves that we're not here forever. This is all. Everything we do here is like an elaborate sandcastle that's going to be swept away. It's not going to last. Nothing is going to last, including this life, including this life, including this life. Yeah. But I still wasn't thinking about dying 30 years ago, even though I was chanting that chant, even though I wanted everybody at the wedding to chant that chant, the chant of impermanence, the chant of impermanence, but it's also the chant of death. It's also the reminder of that. You know, you know. Hmm. And of course, it's there in Buddhism. Yeah, you should meditate now. As the Buddha said, meditate now, or as you're dying, you'll regret it. Meditate now so that we can be more mindful and more compassionate. And then when it's time to die, maybe we'll be more equanimous. Maybe, maybe not, right? I certainly know one good friend who died in his 50s. We've lost also a couple of friends that thought he was going to be equanimous when he was dying. He was a meditator. We don't know. We don't know. There's so much we're not in control of here. It's just a reminder. It's a reminder to us of how much, all the remembrances of how much we are not in control of, that we'd rather not reflect on how much we're not in control of, right? We'd rather not. Of course, we'd rather not. Yeah, of course, we'd rather not. Of course, it's a human thing to not reflect on what we're not in control of, to not reflect on it. And there's that underpinning. This is just so powerful about this, whether we reflect on it or not, whether we are mindful or not, whether we're compassionate or not, we're still going to die. It's still true. It's still true. And of course, the suggestion that we reflect on it more frequently is not to be more morbid about it or more tight about it, but to bring more gratitude, to be less careless, to be more kind, to be more grateful, all these things, right? To see it more as precious, to not space out so much, to not sweat the small stuff so much, to not, right? You can go on and on about what the point of it is, the point of it, yeah? Yeah, and yeah, those are all true. Those are all true. Those are the orientations. Those are going to be our orientations all month with you. This is this is an overview week of reflections on death, right? Of course, we take a closer look at all these things. We do it a month at a time with all of you. Wow, who wants to spend a month focusing on this? Well, maybe just a little bit more. There are just layers, in my experience, there are just layers and levels to everything in the Dharma. And one of them is the awareness, the internalization more and more of the truth of it, of the truth of this isn't forever. And it happens more naturally as it gets older. But I know some people who are very old who don't reflect on it at all. I get it. I get it. I get it. I know over time I reflect on it much more than I used to. I contemplate it. Susan and I contemplate it. We share this with you in various ways, right? We share with you, well, why do we do gratitude practice at night? Why do why do I wake up now? When I wake up this morning, I woke up at 4 in the morning this morning. It's only 6 now, in the morning here. We woke up at 4 in the morning, and the first thing I wanted to do was just take Susan's hand and feel the warmth of her hand and just be reminded that we're still here. We're both still here and still alive. And we do this all the time now. This is part of our daily bread now, our daily reflection. And we don't do that as and it's not a, there is not a, it's actually not a dark moment. It's like, it's the other side of that dark moment, which is, it may not always be so, but it is so now that we're still here. Do you know? And that is the reminder. The reminder is not that I'm going to die, it's that I'm still here. Yeah? Still here. Still here. And still, uh, although the parts are still moving, everything's still working. Do you know people for whom all of the parts are not still working? You know? Yeah. Yeah, I do too. Yeah. So it's really comes with, the invitation for us to reflect on this. We will emphasize again and again is with that sensibility of, oh, still here. Yeah. Now, when I think of my college professor, I get it because he was close to what my age is now. I'm sure he didn't think about it much when he was the age I was then in college. But that's the way it is. Well, that's the way it is in this life. And we don't want young children to be thinking about it. You know, you know. But it's just part of this landscape, isn't it? It's part of this. It's part of this. It's part of this life. And yeah. So in all the ways that you are that it brings forth for you, what does it bring forth for you? I remember I heard this great Zen story. I heard this great Zen story once. A Zen master went on a long meditation retreat, and when he came back, all his students gathered around. He wanted to know what was what was your insight? And he said, I realize that we're all going to die, and none of us really reflect on that on a regular basis. None of us are living as if that is true. Well, the student said, there must be more insight than that. He said, no, that's pretty much it. That was pretty much it. That was pretty much it. Yeah, yeah. Pretty important insight, in terms of how it, well, okay then. Okay then. Okay, then what? Then how do we do our day? What does it mean? What does it mean for us? What does it mean for us? And so we'll, approach this month with you with that kind of soulful sensibility, and with the appreciation at the fore uh, for still being here and for the world being on fire, but we're here We come together, um, we reflect together, we meditate together, and we appreciate together, yeah, in the ways that we do. So, yeah, so thank you. Thank you for your kind attention. Yeah. Uh, let's practice together. Okay. Open it up a little bit. And when you're ready, slowing it down a bit, and if you like, closing the eyes and mm. So frequently you've certainly heard us say this. My first moment now after I close my eyes in meditation and come to the breath is the awareness that the breath is still here, still moving. It just seems like such a wonderful starting point. And a way to bring not just attention, but the heart into meditation practice. Still here. And feeling the flow of that breath, the movement of that breath. As it moves through the body, enlivens the body. And awareness is here. And hearing, listening is here. The understanding of these words is here. There is already so much here. And in this way, we incline toward just being here, feeling into what's already here, as if this present moment were already filled with richness, as if it were already a fountain overflowing. This being alive right here, right now. Softening. last few minutes of the meditation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.